What's up, guys? I'm going to be doing a quick review on this knife right here you see in front of you. This is the Spyderco Lum Chinese folder in foliage green. This isn't quite the same as the models that have come out recently, such as the one with the glass carbon fiber handles, the titanium handles, and I think the large one in G10. This is actually the original, which was released a couple years back in the original green. And also, I don't think this is the same as the foliage green that they have these days. I've always really wanted a Chinese folder, mainly for the lines. It's a really beautiful knife, but I would have really liked to get a carbon fiber one. That's the ideal, but I wasn't able to get that one. This one was just at a really great price, so I picked this one up. And it's definitely a beautiful, beautiful knife. Let's open it up. You can just see immediately after opening it, what really clean, simple, and beautiful lines this knife has. It's really, really attractive in my opinion. It might be from the fact that I do have Chinese blood in me. So maybe this appeals to sort of my heritage, but I don't really think that's the case. I think it's a pretty good looking design for a lot of people. One thing I don't like about it, though, in terms of aesthetics, is these serrations on the blade. I feel like it kind of interrupts the very smooth lines of the folder and kind of just adds a bit of a jaggedness, which isn't really necessary. I feel like it's a really great looking folder and they didn't need to mess with it by adding the teeth. But let's start with the functionality. The blade's about 3 inches, specs will be in the description. A VG10, and you got full flat grind. It's pretty, not super thin of a blade, but it is full flat ground, so I don't feel like the serrated edge would be the strongest thing in the world, though it would slice pretty well for serrations. I don't really like serrations on a blade this thin anyways. I feel like serrations are better for hard use tasks, and as such, they should be on relatively thick blades. I'd rather have a full flat ground plain edge with this one. It'd be an excellent slicer. At this size, I do think the Lum Chinese folder is best suited for EDC. It's that perfect size. It's a really good size for that. Got a nice satin finish on the blade. VG10 tends to take a nice satin finish, and Spyderco does it well. You can see the Lum logo on there. Sadly, he passed away, and no more new designs will be coming of him, but we can remember him in this knife. And this one is Seki City, Japan, just like all the other VG10 Spydercos. The opening hole is quite nice. It's a good size. I'm not going to be using this with gloves, so I wouldn't really worry about it being too small. You can open it with the left hand, but the handle obscures it a little bit, whereas there's a cutout on the right hand. But you can see, 90% of the holes exposed. So, for the most part, it's ambidextrous accessible. If we go onto the handle, you got a gorgeous handle of green Almite, which I do believe is an anodized aluminum. And it does take wear pretty well. There are some missing anodized spots up here, but that's only in the high contact areas. And, though it might not wear as well as a, really aggressively checkered G10, it does hold up pretty well, and it's a light material, and I don't really think it's that weak, so it's a decent choice of material. This is definitely a gentleman's folder. More aspects on that I'll talk about in a second, but the handle material is quite beautiful. I don't really have any complaints with that. So we go on to the locking mechanism. You can see here the Chinese folder is definitely not a hard use knife. This liner is really thin. This one locks out about a third, but it can move a little bit depending on how fast you deploy it. But this knife is not meant for chopping down trees. The combination of the thin blade with the smooth, lack of traction handles with the thin liner lock make it a very good carry knife and, easy to use knife. But it's definitely not like, a batoning knife. Lockup is good though. Easy to disengage, nice jimping on the liner there. Knife is very smooth, flicks out pretty well. Pivot construction, you got a standard sort of polymer backspacer. If we got into the clip, sadly it's only on right hand, but they do offer tip down and tip up. Only problem with that is on both sides it's pretty unique for a Spyderco clip, this sort of hook shaped at the end. It will give you tip up and tip down, however, sadly, none for left-handers. I do think that keeps it prettier on this side, but I don't think I'd really mind too much if they tapped it. Pretty unique thing about this knife among Spydercos is this also has Phillips construction except for the pivot. These screws down here for the clip, and these screws here you can take out using a normal Phillips driver. Landing hole is nice, and the blade has a nice touch to it with these rounded sort of swedge. Last thing I want to mention is fit and finish. Not quite as good as I see from Spyderco these days. It is put together very well. However, there's this backspacer doesn't really line up perfectly with the Almite, and the centering is not perfect, and there's a couple machining marks around on the blade and other various areas. So it's not perfect, but it's very good. Overall, if you're looking for a really nice gentleman's folder, something light to carry and very easy to carry, it's a pretty thin knife due to the thin aluminum scales. It's definitely a good choice. At about $100, you get a really nice collectible. It's a beautiful knife, in my opinion. I think it looks really cool, and it'd be a phenomenal EDC folder. Just don't expect it to perform in a role that you think will be not suited for it. I mean, I trust your judgment on this one. If you're going to be banging on it, don't use a Lum Chinese. But definitely a really cool folder. I would recommend buying one if you're into the design. Yeah, that's my review of the Spyderco Lum Chinese folder in green. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace out.